Good day. I'm Dave.
And I'm Dave.
This is the OFFSITE
INSIGHT
Podcast.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Creative Co-op Advertising and Design. If you have any marketing or advertising needs, reach out to Gino and the team at tcco.ca.
So we're thrilled to have Lucy Gowers from Youth Haven, the Executive Director. Hi, Lucy.
Hi, how's it going?
Very
Doing well, thanks.
Excellent. Thank you for having me here, by the way.
It's our pleasure. You've been kind of a big name in the community as of late, and I think it's well deserved. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Youth Haven?
Well, I think that goes to a lot of people, not just myself. So thank you for saying that. We've just completed our new shelter, and we're really, really excited about that. We've had such community support, starting with the Simcoe County Home Builders Association, of course, who basically came on board. I approached them one day and I said to them, I'd love for you to come through our shelter and basically give me an idea of where the repairs are, what my priorities should be, and then perhaps put us in touch with someone who can come in and help us actually do those repairs. And once they came through, they thought, oh my goodness, we're going to get involved. We need to get involved. This just isn't the right environment when we're trying to help youth who are at their most vulnerable moment, trying to get them stabilized and perhaps provide them with the supports and resources that they need. And so they came back and talked about what they could possibly do to support Youth Haven, how they can get involved. And before you know it, it was planned to basically tear down this old but beautiful shelter that we had and put this beautiful purpose-built home in its place. And it's been a journey of about 3 years, I would say. An exciting journey just to see how everyone came together in support of Youth Haven. I think sometimes when you think, oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, something happens to just really help have something come to fruition. Right. So, we're looking at our home and we're saying we really need for this to happen. And before you know it, it's happening. I needed to raise over $1 million. In fact, we're still hoping to raise about another $400,000. Mm-hmm. But we've raised close to $2 million already with the supports that we've gotten from the community, from Simcoe County Home Builders Association, from people stepping up and saying, I believe in the work that you do. I believe in our youth, and I want to invest in our future. So it's been great. It's been exciting. And so when you talk about credit and how my name's out there, my team's name's out there as well, right. Because nothing happens without them, without the Simcoe County Home Builders Association, our community, and our youth.
Absolutely. So now that the new shelter is officially open, what does that mean for the long-term future of Youth Haven and the youth that you do serve?
Oh my goodness, it means so much. It's a purpose-built home that we know we're going to be able to serve youth for generations to come. It's not just a home that's there to provide a shelter and food and a warm place. We're able to expand our programs and our resources and our services. In fact, we've expanded our programs already to include a family and natural support worker, which is basically working with both families and our youth to reunite them with families and help keep them in the network that they're from. We're also hoping to expand our program again to include an aftercare worker to work with youth who are transitioning out of our shelter or out of our transitional housing program and into their own home, which is so exciting and yet overwhelming. And,
absolutely.
When you don't have the experience to basically start living on your own, you need someone who can work with you and mentor you and hold your hand sometimes if it comes to that. And so it's really exciting for us to be able to bring someone in who can help with the aftercare and trustee program as well to help our youth basically learn the basics of making money and keeping money and paying bills and really learning to be fiscally responsible. Yeah. And then our third new program is a mentorship program. So this is where we can come back to, the Simcoe County Home Builders Association and their amazing members and tradespeople and say to them, we have this mentorship program right now. We want you to continue to stay involved by perhaps mentoring our youth, by introducing them to these new opportunities that are out there and that exist. And so what this new build has done for us, it has allowed us not only to increase the number of beds, and support more youth, but also expand our programs so that our youth are able to thrive once they leave our care.
Right. So it's that increased beds, I think, is always what gets the headlines. But I
Yes.
think it's all the other services that you
Yes,
offer that
exactly.
really help not just keep them, in a safe environment, but then allow them to become a functioning member of our society years down the road. Right.
You're
So
right.
these programs
Yes.
are so important.
Yes, and to keep them out of, adult shelters. Basically, what we're hoping to do is we want to prevent youth from entering our shelter in the first place,
Sure.
and then break the cycle of homelessness so
Yeah.
that they never have to return to homelessness again.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit more about your experience in working with the Home Builders Association and the trades? I mean, obviously, I can imagine it would be a very stressful process to be 3 years into it. And, I'm sure that you may have had some sleepless nights as you're trying to raise money and try to get drywall and all of the things that come with a big project like this.
Well, you're right about having sleepless nights. And I think most of it was just to do more with the fundraising, of course, and to be able to raise the funds. But my experience with our tradespeople with Simcoe County Home Builders Association has been a very positive experience. I mean, first of all, I was overwhelmed that they chose to support us the way they did. And, it was one of those things where, sure, we're talking about this. We'd like to build a new shelter. We'd like for it to be like this. But to actually see it happen has been such an amazing journey for me. It's highs and lows.
Sure.
And so, my experience basically is to make sure that they had everything that they need and to make sure that our bills were paid on time. I'd like to mention Mark Mulder, who is our board chair as
Yes.
well as our project manager.
Shout out, Mark.
I'm sure he's had a lot more sleepless nights than I did. He basically was there day in, day out, working with these amazing individuals who were just there to support us. And, so I think we've had the similar experience to have this passionate group of people support us, but at the same time, it's been a positive one. And I'm hoping that the journey for them has been just as positive too. I'm hoping that they realize exactly what it is that they've done for the youth in our care. Again, it's not just about building this beautiful home, but it's about giving them opportunities to thrive, basically turn their lives around, to be able to create some positive outcomes for themselves, and like you said, eventually be able to give back to the community and support us as much as we've supported them.
I want to bring this back to exactly what Youth Haven does, because when I heard the story for the first time a couple of years ago about this project getting underway, it was something that I hadn't even really thought about before. Is that there are how does a young person end up homeless, and what do they do, and why are they on the street?
Mm-hmm.
It's never you'll see these people and go, oh, that's very sad, but never really understand
why they got there.
And so I'm wondering, could you tell us exactly what it is that Youth Haven does?
Of course. And thank you for asking. As much as I like to think that most people know about us, there's a lot more people out there who really don't. And so that's a really good question, because when a youth shows up on our doorstep, they show up on the doorstep because it's not really a choice that they've wanted to make. So because of family breakdown, because of addictions, because of abuse, because of violence, they basically feel safer being on the streets than sometimes in their own homes. And so through word of mouth, through our social media, through our presentations, getting out there and partnering with different organizations throughout the community, getting involved with the faith community, for instance, working closely with our Barrie Police, OPP, they manage to find their way to Youth Haven. And what we do for them is offer them, again, shelter, food, a warm place to stay, a bed, but it goes beyond that. We offer case management and counseling. We offer health care. We offer crisis intervention, our family and natural support services, family reunification. We advocate for them. We offer housing, employment, and education assistance. So we encourage our youth to either stay in school or to perhaps look for work, and of course, help them find permanent housing that they can keep. So there's so much that we do, as well as outreach, inreach, and of course, our transitional housing program. So we have 30 youth in our care currently in our shelter. We have 15 youth in our transitional housing program. In our transitional housing program, I like to think of it as basically a step up from the emergency shelter. So basically, they're a little bit more independent.
Mhm.
They're actually working or in school. They're able to now take care of themselves, but they still need support. They still
Sure.
need somebody to make sure that they're on the right track.
They're kids.
Right?
I mean,
Exactly.
they're youth.
They
Yeah.
they sometimes need those cheerleaders,
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
And we are just so proud and honored to be their cheerleaders because we get some pretty great kids coming through the shelter. And with our outreach, of course, we're actually supporting youth where they're at. So they may not necessarily want to come to the shelter,
Sure.
or they're not ready to go through our transitional housing program, but they want to remain in their community. They want to remain with their network. Then we'll go to them and provide them with the support that they need, again, to help them, with education support, with employment support, find housing, take them to appointments if it needs to go that way.
Right.
We try and do everything we can to support our youth because we want to make sure they have the confidence and the skills that they need to walk out our door and begin their lives.
And that's such a huge part of it, right? That confidence that says,
Yes.
I can do this.
Yes.
Is because, I think back to my own days as a youth, we've all been there. It's like, it's daunting. It's a big, scary world out
You're
there,
right.
and it's more complex today than it ever has been. And navigating all of that without the traditional, family structures, I can imagine is even more. It may feel like an even more insurmountable transition to go through by yourself, but
You're
having
right.
something like Youth Haven there to just, hey, we can do this.
You're right.
Yeah.
And the pride that we feel, the heartwarming emotions that we feel when a youth shows up and says, I found a place, I'm moving out next week, right?
Cool.
I mean, that's like the biggest thrill that we have is to know that a youth is well on their way to, again, turning their lives around for the better. They're able to thrive in a community and still get the support. And it's just so wonderful.
So you talked about, that amazing feeling that you get when you see them moving in the right direction. What are you hoping that, a youth who shows up on your doorstep is feeling when they first get to that shelter? What are you hoping that they can get on that first night or that first day when they visit Youth Haven?
I hope that once they come to us, that they feel safe. I think that's probably the biggest thing, that they feel safe, that they feel like they're being heard. They feel that like they know that we know that they matter and that we're here to provide whatever supports we possibly can. But I think safe is probably the first thing that I hope they feel. And then once they come to the shelter and they have their first night stay with us and so on and so forth, once they start to feel comfortable, then I think that's when the conversations really begin. We want them to come to us and share with us when they're ready.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we just want them to feel safe and know that there's somebody there who truly cares for them.
Because sometimes they're arriving in crisis, right?
Yes.
Sometimes,
Yes.
and you need to come down from that crisis
Yes.
in order to really, okay, let's take a breath in some cases.
Yes, exactly.
What is it that I need? And you're there to help support them and guide them
Exactly.
through that.
And that's the other thing that our new shelter does for our youth, right? It not only provides them that safety, but it also provides them with privacy to be able to really start to heal.
Yeah.
And that was something that we lacked at our former shelter. And like I said, our shelter served us well for about 16 years, but it was time for it to basically come down, as much as I hate to say this. And in its place, of course, we've got this beautiful, safe home where, and again, when we first moved into our shelter on the very first day, there were so many of our youth who actually said, this feels safe, it feels like home, it feels like I can actually start to do something
Beautiful.
for myself.
How old are the youth who typically show up at your doorstep?
So we serve youth between the ages of 16 and 24. They're on the younger side. A lot of the times they're on the younger side. First time being homeless, not really knowing who to go to for help and for support, and ending up on the street. It's scary for them. It's scary for any of us, really.
Yeah, I
But
can't
16,
imagine.
17-year-olds on the street on their own. So it's, is a hard, difficult time for them. And really, this is something that nobody should have to go through, right? No one at all. And so we're here to do whatever we can to prevent that from happening in the first place.
Right.
We work with our schools. We work with,
Yeah.
amazing partners and agencies out in our community to basically help prevent homelessness altogether. And then when they do show up, then we're there to provide them with whatever supports they need to help get them out of homelessness as quickly as we can into something more permanent and more beneficial for them.
We've had a lot of guests so far on the podcast talking about homelessness, and it sounds like, there's some incredible organizations all doing incredible work.
Yes.
And you're also at the beginning stages to try and prevent it happening in the first place. And as we all know, and what is it? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of the cure, right? So we're trying to, build that pathway right off the beginning to teach them skills, to teach them coping mechanisms, to help keep them, in a self-sustaining process.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. That's what we're hoping to do is preventing homelessness from happening in the first place. And then if they're in our care, to keep it as short as possible so that we can help them move through the system and navigate the world out there in a confident way. And like you said, just that they can cope with whatever's thrown at them. So,
yeah. How many of the youth that you serve end up returning home?
To their families, we've actually had about, I think, just over 30 last year that were reunified with their families, which is great. And of course, we'll only do it if it's safe for them to be there, right? If it's appropriate for us to continue working with the families and with the youth. We had, I believe, 44 move out on their own. And so we don't always get to hear the stories of the youth that are out on their own because a lot of them don't want to return to youth haven. I mean, this is a time in their life that some of them just want to forget.
Absolutely.
And, but I always say it's just an experience that you've had in your life that's only going to make you stronger. And so we've had 44, as I said, find permanent housing, and they're there. We've actually had a number of youth come back to us and they stay in touch with us. They're excited for our new build. They're excited for all of these amazing new programs. And, it's nice for us to hear from them anyways, because now they're either married and they have kids or they have their businesses in our community and they're employing people. They're actually have an amazing business where they're hired people from our community and giving them opportunities. And it's really wonderful to hear that. So every time I'm out in the community, I may have one of a youth come up to me and say, I was at the shelter when I was 16, 17, 18. Wow. You helped turn my life around. And really, as much as I know a lot of them don't want to share their story, and it is their story to share, I do hope that eventually they'll change their minds about that, because they're amazing individuals who've really turned their lives around and have really done some pretty amazing things. And for them to become a role model to our youth in our care really does say so much. It really instills in our youth that there truly is hope. And I'm not just saying it, or, someone else from the community isn't just
Lucy's
saying
not just
it.
telling stories.
Exactly. So I do hope that eventually anyone listening out there who may be one of our youth, I'd really love for you to just share your story. And again, on your time, anonymously, if you'd like. We just think that it's important because, again, this is something that one of our youth is going through, but they're not the only ones going through this.
That's right.
They won't be the first to go through it, and they definitely won't be the last.
I mean, we can hope that they'll be the last.
Yeah, of course.
We can hope. That's the goal,
and
right?
You're so right, because our goal, of course, is to end homelessness and to end youth homelessness.
Yeah.
But
we have to, walk every day and in pursuit of that goal.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what is the next steps for Youth Haven? What's next? You've accomplished this big, incredible thing. You're helping, 30 people in shelter, but you're also helping, I would guess, a large number outside of it. What's next? Continuing.
Oh my goodness. I'd like to say we're going to build another shelter, but we're not. I think what we need to do is to focus on the programs that we have in place.
Yeah.
We need to focus on making sure that we've got the funds to continue to run the operations, because I think what I'd like to tell people is, yes, we built this amazing building. As I mentioned, we're still hoping to raise another, $400,000, but it doesn't end there. our programs still need to continue. Our youth are still going to come into our shelter. We still want to make sure we have the staff in place that can support them. So for us, it's always about trying to raise money so that we can continue to do the great work that we do. And then take a look at ways that we can absolutely expand our programs. As I've mentioned, we will be implementing 3 new programs, our trusteeship program, our mentorship program, and our aftercare program. What we would like to do is to basically continue to work with our youth and to be able to work with them to provide the resources that they need. So what do you need now that you've moved out of our shelter and you're on your own? Here's an aftercare worker to help. But beyond that, what else do you need? Are there youth in our care who would benefit from those partnerships with our tradespeople?
Right.
Are there youth in our care who would benefit from somebody just coming in and listening to them? Are there youth in our care that would benefit from someone just offering an ear to, listen to what they have to say? So it's about really taking a look at our programs now and seeing what we can do to build on that success. And it's really not standing still. I don't think we could ever stand still, right? We have to make sure that we've got programs in place that are going to truly support our youth beyond. What can we do with our education partners to ensure that our youth in our care are in school and remain in our school, and then move on to post-secondary education as well?
Mm-hmm.
How can we really support them? Because we want them to be able to leave our shelter, transitional housing, find something that is suitable to them, appropriate for them, and start their lives.
Right.
It's really moving. I gotta tell you, it's everything that you have to say is really it's really touching. It doesn't surprise me at all that you've received as much support as you have. I think that you and your team and the community really ought to take some pride in the success of Youth Haven so far.
You're right. Thank you for saying that, because they really should. And again, I'm so proud of what we've accomplished together with our community, with Simcoe County Home Builders Association, our tradespeople, everyone who's been a part of this amazing journey, really.
And so for those same people, the builders, the trades, the business owners that are listening to this episode possibly, what can they do to help continuing Youth Haven and supporting Youth Haven going forward?
Again, the mentorship program would be a wonderful place to start. Just because these are amazing individuals, that the experiences that they can impart on our youth. And so I think it would be wonderful for us to stay in touch that way. Of course, there's always going to be things that are going to happen at the shelter that we may need some people to come out and help fix, we still have some landscaping that we're going to have to do. There's still some work that still needs to happen, but to stay in touch with us and to be able to really get to know our youth on a one-to-one, because it's important that they really see what they've done to really transform a life for the better, right? It's about really getting to know my staff and the youth, if they can, to see the difference that they've made. That's really amazing. So stay in touch with us, right? Come out and see us. Come on out and actually go through the shelter, because I know there's people out there that have built this beautiful home that haven't seen it's when it was completed. So it's completion. And so I want you to come through and see what you've done, what you've been able to accomplish with us, for us.
And I want to say it's almost so much more than the 4 walls that these youth live in. It's the community aspect of this shelter.
Exactly.
And you can't see that until you're actually walking through with some of your folks and some of the youth in the shelter.
Come see what you've done, right?
Yeah.
Mark actually shared a story at our appreciation event with Simcoe County Home Builders Association, where he came into the shelter and he saw that all of our offices are being used. There's youth being counseled. There's a doctor who's actually there seeing one of our youth. There's youth that are playing on their video games in the common space. There's somebody who might be making a snack or something. We are using every single space in this new beautiful home, and it's being appreciated. We would never have been able to do something like that in our old former shelter, but this new space is being utilized. Even now, when I was there this morning, we had somebody come through and just check to make sure everything's okay and to make sure our cameras are all working well. We had youth that are doing their chores, because that's something else that we should let people know when a youth does come to our shelter. It's not about just staying in the shelter, taking up a bed, basically getting the case management that they need, supports that they need. They're also there learning basic life skills, which is just as important, I think, if you have to, once you're out on your own and you're trying to maintain your house. So, but to see life in this home, and it's good life, it's really does make a huge difference.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I've just got to listen.
No, and I think that speaks to the importance of the work that you and your team do, Lucy. I mean, we all know people who have gone through challenging things, and I think the idea of approaching it at a very young, vulnerable age makes such a huge impact. And obviously you are more privy to some of the stories and the successes that you've seen, but I think it should speak to everybody listening to this episode, just what that impact, that small little thing that, these tradespeople, the Simcoe County Home Builders Association, yes, it was a big feat, but, individuals contributed to that. And there's so much pride that should come to that, as Dave said, and the impact that's going to continue to be felt in the community.
That's right.
For not just this year and not next year, but for
years to come,
for decades
really.
to come.
Exactly.
Right? So
exactly. Yes.
awesome. Where can people find out more about you, Lucy, but also more about Youth Haven? If there's someone who's listening who's not part of the Home Builders Association that wants to come and help out or have a look or see how they can help out, where do they go?
Of course. Well, they can always check out our website. So www.youthhaven.ca. They can connect with me. My email address is lucy@youthhaven.ca. They can go through our social media pages and check us out on Facebook and our Instagram accounts. And really, I do invite people to check us out on our social media, because those are the times when we're able to really share those success stories. So we talk about the youth that move out of our shelter and transitional housing, and they're on their own. Those are the stories that we really want people to know that they've been a part of. And so we want you to stay engaged in that way.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And before we wrap up here, is there a message that you'd want to pass out to any youth that are potentially in need of services? Is there anything you'd like to say or let them know, hey, I'm here. My name's Lucy.
And that's exactly what I'd like to say, is that we are here for you. If you just need to reach out, if you're going through something that you're really not sure how to deal with, please get a hold of us. Our phone number is 705-739-7616. Or again, check us out on Facebook. I mean, that's one place where a lot of our counselors actually will respond to, is Facebook. It's that immediate, response, basically. So please reach out to us. And if you're not sure, head over to police, head over to your schools, head over to, even if you're, at a church and you want to talk to your minister, your priest, let them know that you're experienced something and you're really not sure how to deal with it. And perhaps they can put you in touch with our team as well. So youthhaven.ca, basically, Lucy@youthhaven.ca.
Amazing. 705-739-7616
is our number.
Amazing. Well, I think you've nailed it. I think Youth Haven has nailed it. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to talk to you today and hear your story, and be excited about the future of Youth Haven. And hopefully you do have to go out of business because there's no one left to serve.
That would be nice.
But I don't think that'll be the case anytime soon.
Right.
But what a beautiful story, and thank you again so much for spending your time telling us about it.
Well, thank you so much for having me here and for inviting me to share our story. Because as much as I'd like to say that everybody knows about us, not everybody does.
Certainly.
So please reach out, please get to know us, please engage with us, and yes, let's continue to do this great work that we're doing together as a team. And thank you for choosing to make a difference in the lives of others.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Lucy.
If you are interested in being a guest on the podcast, please reach out to podcast@SCH